Hi, my name is Ebony Rankin and I will be discussing match. Match is defined as the recipient's contribution to the project. Match in the CoC program is defined as the minimum required cash or in-kind contributions for a project. Match in the CoC program is restricted to the costs identified in Subpart D of the CoC program interim rule and the applicable OMB circulars. Match in the CoC program may be in the form of cash or in-kind contributions and must be used by the recipient or subrecipient when costs for the project. Eligible in-kind match contributions that a recipient or subrecipient may use are the value of real property, equipment, goods, and services. More simply, an in-kind match contribution is a donation or gift of time, internal fiscal resources, professional expertise, use of facilities, project sponsorship, equipment, or other comparable donations without charge that are equal to direct financial contributions from one or more private or public organizations. All in-kind match contributions must be documented by a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU, between the recipient or subrecipient and a third party that will provide the goods and/or services, equipment, or real property. Recipients must ensure that any funds used to satisfy the matching requirements are eligible under the interim rule to ensure the funds from other sources are not statutorily prohibited to be used as match. Matching contributions must meet the other federal requirements for nonprofit organizations and states and units of general local government. Where program participant rent and occupancy charges are provided to the recipient or subrecipient, they are considered program income and are therefore prohibited from using such income to meet match requirements. Cash or in-kind contributions used as match for another grant or whose funding stream statutorily prohibits them to be used as match are also not allowed to be used as match. Finally, program participant savings are prohibited from being used as match. Savings belong to the program participant, not the recipient or subrecipient. Match and leverage are separate and distinct. Leverage is over and above match. In other words, an amount that is listed as leverage in a project application may not also be used as match on the project budget. Leverage in the CoC program is cash or in-kind contribution in excess of the minimum required match contributions for a project. A recipient or subrecipient also may use leverage funds for other aspects of a project, even if the costs are not allowable in the CoC program. Any financial assistance that comes from public or private resources can be counted as cash leverage. Services, counseling, legal advocacy, etc., and physical goods, food, furniture, and clothing, etc., can be counted as in-kind leverage. The funds, goods, or services will need to come directly from the source to your organization. Benefits such as food stamps or TANF, cash assistance for a program participant, received directly from the program participant cannot be counted as leverage. Supportive services that are provided to a program participant by a third party can be counted as in-kind leveraging source. Rents and occupancy charges collected by program participants is considered program income, which is also not considered an eligible source of match or leveraging. The CoC program requires recipients to provide cash or in-kind match valued at 25% of the amount of the CoC program grant award, less the amount received for leasing. Cash or in-kind match must be provided on a grant-by-grant basis unless the recipient is a UFA or is the sole recipient for the CoC. All budget line items must be included in the calculation except leasing. This slide displays samples of how required match is calculated. The CoC program does not require that the match be for the same budget line item that is approved in the grant. For example, under the CoC program, $100,000 of operating funds may be matched with $25,000 cash that is expended on eligible supportive services, or with $25,000 of in-kind services or a combination of the two. Match must be cash or in-kind contributions for costs incurred by the project. Either at the time of application or prior to grant execution, a recipient and/or subrecipient is required to document the amount and sources of its cash and in-kind match. The documentation must also demonstrate that the matching funds or services were expended on eligible costs identified in Subpart D of the CoC Program Interim Rule. When the source is cash, written documentation must be provided on the source organization's agency's letterhead, signed and dated by an authorized representative, and at a minimum must include the following: amount of cash to be provided to the recipient and/or subrecipient for the project, specific date the cash will be made available, the actual grant and fiscal year to which the cash match will be contributed, allowable activities to be funded by the cash match during the grant term. Cash match must be documented as part of the recipient's or subrecipient's financial system. In other words, the general ledger must document the deposit and expenditure of funds. To substantiate donations of in-kind goods and equipment, written documentation of the in-kind contribution must be provided on the source agency's letterhead, signed and dated by an authorized representative, and must, at a minimum, include the following: value of donated goods to be provided to the recipient for the project, specific dates the goods will be made available to the recipient and/or subrecipient, the actual grant and fiscal year to which the match will be contributed, and the value of commitments of land, buildings, and equipment are one time only and cannot be claimed by more than one project by the same project in another year. Documentation of in-kind services must be provided through an MOU between the recipient and subrecipient and a third party. The MOU must establish the specific services to be provided, the profession of the persons providing the service, the hourly cost of the services being provided, and the time frame during which the services will be provided. The services must be provided during the term of the grant to count as match. In the MOU, the recipient or subrecipient must establish a system to document the actual value of services provided during a grant term. The recipient or subrecipient must keep and make available for inspection any MOUs and records documenting the service hours provided by the third party.